Pursuant to our rules, today being a Monday, I move to open privilege hour.
There's a motion to open the privilege hours. Is there any objection? Chair hears none. Said motion is approved. Privilege hour is now open. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move to recognize our Minority Leader, Representative Marcelino C. Libanan, for his contra sona.
There's a motion to recognize the Honorable Representative Marcelino C. Libanan. Is there any objection? Chair hears none. The Honorable Libanan is now recognized. You may proceed, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, distinguished members of the House, my fellow public servants, a pleasant afternoon. At the outset, allow me to congratulate all my esteemed colleagues, both re-elected and the newly elected, on your successful campaigns in the last elections. Your presence here reflects your dedication to serve your respective constituencies. Congratulations as well to the newly elected officers of the House for the 20th Congress. Today is the fourth day of the session of this Congress. Last Monday, July 28, we listened to the President's fourth State of the Nation address. The nation heard his report on accomplishments and his vision for the future. President Marcos opened with a plea to set aside differences. In the aftermath of the last midterm elections, a call we acknowledge. While we believe in the sincerity of the President in this call for unity, we also believe it requires prioritizing people's urgent needs over political expediency. As expected, the SONA was rich with numbers and details of accomplishments, as well as positive indicators signifying economic progress. We recognize the efforts behind these programs and initiatives. Indeed, every stride, no matter how modest, propels our nation forward. Pinupuri natin ang administrasyon sa pagtutok nito sa pagpalago ng ekonomiya, pagpaunlad ng infrastruktura, at pagbibigay ng serbisyong panlipunan. However, as your minority leader, my duty is not only to listen and comment, but most importantly, to expose the realities felt on the ground, to articulate the concerns of those who continue to struggle, and to offer a perspective that complements and at times critically examines the narrative presented. Ungat maganda ang datos, ngunit para sa milyon Pilipino, hindi ito ramdam sa pang-araw-araw na buhay. Economic growth must be measured not only by statistics, but by the lived experience of our people. Mr. Speaker, the official poverty incidence among the populace, while showing a decline, still reveals a stark reality. According to World Bank Group, the poverty incidence stood at 8.1% in 2021, meaning nearly 20 million Filipinos live below the poverty line. On the other hand, latest official figures from the Philippine Statistics Authority show a decrease to 15.5% in 2023, or about 17.5 million Filipinos. However, an SWA survey in June 2025 shows that 49% of Filipino families continue to consider themselves poor. Halos kalahati pa rin ng ating mamamayan ang ramdam, ang hirap at kakulangan. In the recent survey by Pulse Asia, Filipinos were clear on their top priorities: economic issues, controlling inflation, reducing cost of goods and services, lowering prices, increasing wages, expanding employment and livelihood opportunities, and reducing poverty and hunger. The President spoke of easing inflation and the promise of highly subsidized 20 peso per kilo of rice nationwide. Yet, for the ordinary consumer, this remains unattainable, often hovering at 45 to 60 pesos per kilo, sometimes higher. Para sa karaniwang mamimili, nananatiling mahal pa rin ang bigas sa pamilihan. Our farmers continue to grapple with high input costs, inadequate support, and the relentless onslaught of smuggling and illegal price manipulation, which cripple their livelihood. Short-term price controls are not enough. Ang kailangan natin ay isang pangmatagalan na matatag na plano sa agrikultura. Isang planong tunay na magpapalakas sa ating mga magsasaka, magbubukas ng mas maraming oportunidad sa kanayunan at magtitiyak na may sapat at abot kayang pagkain sa bawat hapag kainan. Hindi natin ito makakamit kung aasa lang tayo sa kontroladong pag-aangkat. Dapat manggaling mismo sa lakas ng ating sariling ani ang solusyon. Further, Mr. Speaker, the call for a significant and legislated wage increase for our workers remains loud and clear. While regional wage boards make adjustments, these often fall short of providing a living wage in the face of persistent inflation. Sa ating mga manggagawa na siyang gulugod ng ating ekonomiya, ay nararapat lamang na makatanggap ng patas na bahagi sa pag-unlad ng bayan. Nanawagan tayo sa administrasyong ito na isulong ang isang pambansang minimum wage na tunay na sumasailalim sa halaga ng pamumuhay at nagbibigay ng dignidad sa bawat pamilyang Pilipino. Sa larangan ng edukasyon, binigyan din ng Pangulo ang mga hakbang para mapataas ang kalidad ng pag-aaral at masolusyonan ang agwat sa digital na teknolohiya. Maganda ang layunin, pero malayo pa tayo sa tunay na kalidad ng edukasyon. Our Constitution provides for a system of free education in the elementary and high school levels, and Republic Act number 10931 provides free education at the tertiary level. However, our students continue to lag in international assessments, and many still lack basic comprehension skills. Beyond classrooms and gadgets, we must address fundamental issues: the welfare and continuous training of our teachers, the relevance of our curriculum, and ensuring that every child, regardless of socio-economic background or geographic location, has access to quality, holistic education. Edukasyong maghahanda sa kanila, hindi lang para magbasa at magsulat, kundi para makipagsabayan sa mundo. Second to none, our government must invest heavily in education to produce graduates ready to join the critical workforce for national development. Mr. Speaker, totoo ang sinabi ni Presidente Marcos. Dito sa atin, mahal magkasakit. Mahal ang gamot, kulang ang pagamutan, walang doktor, lalo na sa mga liblib ng mga bayan. our healthcare system, despite increased budgets and PhilHealth expansions, still faces immense challenges. A shortage of doctors, nurses, and other medical professionals strains our hospitals and clinics, especially in rural, underserved areas. Bagamat malaking ginhawa ang libreng dialysis, dapat nating itanong, handa ba ang ating mga pasilidad pangkalusugan na tugunan ang dami ng nangangailangan? Sapat ba ang mga kabayaran at proteksyon para sa ating mga medical frontliners? And what about the often overlooked crisis in mental health? We need a comprehensive national mental health program that provides accessible and affordable services. Mental health must be treated with the same urgency as physical illness. Full implementation of Republic Act number 11036, the Philippine Mental Health Act, must happen now with adequate funding. And also, Mr. Speaker, while we hear of free hospitalization in DOH-run hospitals, the reality on the ground, especially in the provinces, is that many provincial, district, and municipal hospitals still lack resources. Ang totoo, sa maraming probinsya, kailangan pa ring magbayad kahit simpleng gamutan. WHO data shows the Philippines has only one hospital bed per 1,000 people, far below the global average of 2.7 and the World Health Organization standard of 3 to 5. Compare this to hundreds of provincial districts and municipal hospitals serving most Filipinos, especially in far-flung areas. We welcome PhilHealth's clarification on the zero balance billing policy and urge strict compliance. The proposed Local Health Record System Act is equally vital, ensuring a patient's records follow them anywhere, allowing continuous and efficient care. Moving to infrastructure, the President identified several ongoing, soon-to-be implemented big tickets projects under Build Better More program, roads, bridges, and railway. These include Bataan-Cavite Interlink Bridge, Pinar-Bicol Line, SLEX Extension, Mindanao projects, national fiber, backbone, and internet connectivity. While the importance of these projects for long-term development cannot be underestimated, we must not lose sight of the daily commuting crisis in urban centers. The Libreng Sakay program and free bus services offer relief, but they are partial solutions at best. Metro Manila traffic alone costs 3.5 billion daily in lost productivity. Hindi sapat ang panandaliang lunas. Kailangan natin ang tunay na desentralisasyon para umunlad ang iba pang lungsod at rehiyon, lumikha ng trabaho at magikayat ang ating kababayan na bumalik sa kanilang bayan upang maibsan ang siksikan sa Metro Manila, Cebu, Davao at iba pang urban centers. Connectivity must be national in scope. A glaring omission in the SONA was the Luzon-Visayas Bridge linking Sorsogon and Northern Samar. This is not just a bridge. It is a lifeline for commerce, food supply, and national unity. It must be a top infrastructure priority. Existing lifelines like the Maharlika Highway need urgent rehabilitation. Our domestic airports also lack a coherent master plan. Piecemeal improvements won't do. We need a long-term national strategy. On the critical issue of power and electricity, Mr. Speaker, while the President highlighted plans to complete nearly 200 power plants and expand solar home systems, the reality for many Filipinos remains challenging. We still endure frequent brownouts and blackouts, causing huge economic losses and disrupting daily life. This is evident in crises such as the one in Siquijor. Furthermore, the Philippines still faces some of the highest electricity costs in Southeast Asia, burdening households, industries, and business alike. While efforts to increase generation capacity are welcome, the government must ensure that these translate to reliable, affordable, and accessible power for all. The heavy reliance on fossil fuels also raises concerns about long-term energy security and environmental sustainability. Thus, Mr. Speaker, we laud the President's declaration to continuously plant up to 100 million coconut trees nationwide. This is an ambitious and commendable goal with immense potential, not only for agriculture, but for energy independence. Investing in local biodiesel production from coconut oil can significantly reduce reliance on imported fossil fuels and create new rural industries and jobs. Thus, we strongly oppose the Department of Energy's suspension of the mandatory biodiesel blend increase from B2 to B4 and eventually B5. This move contradicts Republic Act number 9367, the Biofuels Act of 2006, which mandates biofuel use to cut oil imports, low emissions, and boost rural employment. Kung kaya gamitin ang langis ng ating niyog para mabawasan ang pag-angkat ng krudo, bakit pa tayo umatras? Mas mabuting mag-invest tayo sa sarili nating likas yaman kaysa umasa sa produktong dayuhan. Days before the President's SONA, much of Luzon, including Metro Manila, was battered by heavy rains and flooding from habagat and tropical storms Rising, Dante, and Imo. These events raised concerns about the government's flood control projects and allegations of corruption in their implementation. Public funds meant to protect lives must not be siphoned off by corrupt officials and their cohorts. We commend the President and strongly support his call for genuine accountability and a transparent audit of flood control projects, ensuring no centavo is lost to greed. Transparency is the first step. Follow-through is critical. We expect timely release of projects list and active prosecutions of wrongdoing. We likewise support a unified, integrated, science-driven flood control program coordinated nationally instead of the current fragmented scheme. There is also a critical need for durable seawalls in Pacific-facing provinces. The catastrophic storm surges from Yolanda and Ruby show the devastation of coastal vulnerabilities. Just last week, a magnitude 8.8 quake of Russia's east triggered a tsunami warning in several countries, including ours. These seawalls would save lives, protect communities, and secure livelihoods from extreme weather and tsunami threats. Solid waste management is another urgent issue. The devastating floods highlight the failure to implement Republic Act 9003, the Ecological Solid Waste Management Act, The Philippines generates 40,000 tons of waste daily, much of it unmanaged. This worsens flooding and destroys livelihoods year after year. We must strengthen Republic Act 9003 with updated provisions for segregation, recycling, composting, and safe disposal facilities, plus stricter enforcement and accountability from LGUs. While the President's mention of defective and ghost flood control projects drew applause, the loudest silence was its failure to address online gambling. The proliferation of online gambling generated over 51 billion revenues in just first quarter of 2025, but it also wreaks havoc on Filipino families, causing addiction and financial ruin. The Pogo ban from his third SONA was a step in the right direction, but we need to go further. Ban all predatory online gambling platforms, apps, and websites that prey on the vulnerable. Dapat tuluyan ng wakasan ang mapinsalang aktibidad na ito. But we must also provide alternative livelihoods for displaced workers, not just shut operations down. For democracy to truly flourish, we must address weaknesses in our political system. We need genuine political party reforms, including stricter campaign finance rules for transparency and fairness. We must also revisit and amend the party list law to ensure it serves its true constitutional intent, representation for the marginalized and underprivileged sectors. These reforms will strengthen institutions, promote issue-based politics, and move us away from the personally driven campaigns. Mr. Speaker, the state of the nation is not just measured by numbers, statistics, or infrastructure projects, but by the daily reality of every Filipino, whether they can feed their families, earn a living wage, access education and healthcare, feel safe, and trust that their government works for them. The best part of the President SONA is that he knows our problems. We hope he delivers his promises. Ang tagumpay ng Pangulo ay tagumpay ng sambayanan at ang kaunlaran ng Pilipinas ay kaunlaran ng bawat mamamayan. Kaya't kami sa Minorya ay handang makipagtulungan para sa kapakanan ng lahat. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, my dear colleagues.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move to refer the speech of the Honorable Marcelino Libanan to the Committee on Rules for its appropriate action.
There's a motion to refer the speech of the Honorable Marcelino Libanan to the Committee on Rules. Is there any objection? Chair hears none. Said motion is approved.